Hi, my name is Yi with bringing acupuncture mainstream one talk at a time. Hey, I just want to spend a moment just to admire the background that's been created for me. This is the result of my wife's handiwork, and so I really appreciate her knack for Chinese style interior design. Anyways, today's talk, I want to address a few points that I found online about what you should do when you are seeking or working initially with an acupuncturist. And these are pretty commonsensical, but I want to maybe give my commentary on a couple of them. One is if you're working with your MD already, certainly discuss acupuncture with him and get his input. The chances are he will have some knowledge of acupuncture, but will not be an expert at it. But it's nevertheless is good to get his point of view and possibly a referral. When you get a referral, you want to make sure that that particular acupuncturist is the best thing to do is make sure that they're an expert at that particular condition that you want treated. As I mentioned before in previous videos, not all acupuncturists are experts at everything. I mean, maybe a truly great acupuncturist can be an expert at everything. And certainly acupuncture, there is a way for an acupuncturist to look up the many diseases and find the point recommendations. But for your own benefit, if you can find an expert that deals with your particular condition, and that's probably a talk for another video. I mean, ideally, this is the case. I mean, if you were going to go take your car, your British sports car, to an auto mechanic, you would probably want to go to a mechanic that specializes in British automotive. You wouldn't necessarily go to a Mack truck dealer to take your British car, right? So anyway, that's a sort of a layman's sort of picture-ogram. Check the credentials of the practitioner that you will be working with. Whether you're in California, the state board requires a license for all acupuncturists working in the United States. I mean, excuse me, in California. But you may be living in a state that only requires a national license, and that you can check through the NCCAOM website. You can look up their name or acupuncturist number. Probably the name would be more practical to look up and find out if they are licensed or their license is active. And you can find out some other neat details about each practitioner too, in case they may have any other issues. This one I have just a little bit more commentary with is there's this recommendation online that says don't use acupuncture as a replacement for conventional therapy. And I would say, well, go ahead and try conventional therapy first, and if it doesn't work, please try acupuncture. Or you can try both at the same time. And so, yeah, go ahead and the one thing that one caveat on that is patients that I've seen and other of my colleagues who have seen patients who have had the hormone cortisone shots injected. It's not unusual when they see us that an acupuncture treatment is much more difficult. The consensus that of people that I know is 10 to 1, 10 treatments for one if someone has had a cortisone shot in a particular area of their body. For some reason, it tends to have a inhibitive effect on the healing of the area or the ability of acupuncture to work as it normally would without a cortisone shot. And so that's my little caveat there, and that's just based on not based on any formal study that I've done. It's just with speaking with many acupuncturists that I've known and their experiences and my own experience. Don't necessarily rely on an acupuncturist diagnosis. This was another, let me clear this up in a moment. This is something else I saw online. If an acupuncturist is trained in giving diagnoses, this is fine. There's no problem. You'll find a lot of L.A.Cs may also happen to have an MD degree. But acupuncturists can also be trained to at least spot red flags and be able to refer you to your MD, or even in some cases to the emergency room if they run across a condition that raises an alarm. But for an official diagnosis, yes, I would say that most acupuncturists that you may run into are not necessarily trained on giving an official diagnosis, because a lot of times those diagnoses require a blood test or an image or something along those lines. So an acupuncturist can certainly point you in the right direction, but as this one recommendation online I've seen does suggest that you should not necessarily rely on that diagnosis. Work together with both of your doctors or all of your doctors. If you are having treatment with your MD, you should share that information with the acupuncturist. And if you are going back to your MD and getting continued therapy, you should let them know that you're being treated by an acupuncturist. Let all these professionals understand what your condition is by one of the ways is letting them know all the ways you're treating yourself. So this, we get a better comprehensive picture of what's happening. And from an acupuncturist standpoint, we just want to make sure that we're not going to do something that's going to be counteractive to whatever treatment you're getting. So we want to make sure everything is working and synergetically as possible. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions, please send me a note. But otherwise, thank you, and this is L.Ac with bringing acupuncture mainstream one talk at a time, and I'll see you on the next video.